good catch.
That was cool, wasn't it? What you slid on that?
Yeah, she got him mid at it. Man, I love it. I love doing shit. Fucking pit bulls and dogs. Ain't nothing like this, man. I don't give a damn what nobody says.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, what's going on, Mad Dog?
Not much. What's up?
Not a whole lot. Let me apologize ahead of time if I sound a little stuffy, but the show must go on.
Sure.
As far as the patterns you've seen throughout history up until now, what direction do you think the American Pit Bull Terrier is going in the future?
Oh, wow. Well, in the United States, with animal rights activists as powerful as they are, and that includes ASPCA, and that's Humane Society of the U.S., not the local Humane Society, but the HSUS. They're determined. They're absolutely determined to crush the American Pit Bull Terrier and anybody that has one or a pair of them. Mm. I see it going. Well, it was an American thing. It grew in America when. From the history, you know, we had John Colby up in Massachusetts. We had William Leitner out in, I think, Colorado. Then we had a unknown group of people down in Louisiana and a miscellaneous few others, I'm not sure where, importing dogs from Ireland as early as the 1840s or 1850s. And then once we got them here, the American Pit Bull Terrier was born and proliferated up until, I want to say, about the middle of the 1990s. Mm-hmm. And after that point, Michael Vick and his cronies exposed it so much, and rightly so, because they weren't the real deal. They were counterfeit dog men. They were people that what you call use a dog to basically aggrandize himself. And anyway, having been exposed the way it was, and as far as I'm concerned, that particular crew of people and people like that, it doesn't bother me. They got exposed. It doesn't bother me one bit. I'm glad it did, in fact. But not to the level that the HSUS and the ASPCA. They're a little over the top, I think. You know, they want to crush it so much that even innocent people are still have the pure blood, and want to do good things with it, honest things, straight things, clean things, things that are legal, not illegal. The HSUS and the ASPCA, they don't care. If you've got an American Pit Bull Terrier, you're a dog fighter. And, you know, they label you immediately. It's like guilty until proven innocent, which is supposed to be the opposite, but it's not that anymore. It's Now it's guilty until you've proven that you're not. But I see the American Pit Bull Terrier proliferating in Eastern Europe, in Thailand, not Thailand, Taiwan. Taiwan's huge. Eastern Europe's huge. Mexico is huge. It's big in all these, almost like what I'd say third world countries, and they're no longer American Pit Bull Terriers because they're not here. They're somewhere else. But they were gotten from here. They were taken from here. They got from Ireland in the 1850s all the way up to the turn of the century to the 1900s. I should say early 19th century. They were imported, and they were, bred the right way and became the dog that they are even today. And but the way it's going now, it's I don't know, it's like law enforcement. I don't know if it's law enforcement or if it's who it is exactly, but it's like they want to crush you if they suspect you. They don't want to just crush you. They want to crush you if you're a suspect, not just somebody that's actually guilty, but somebody that has one. So it's dying. It's dying, and it's dying an awful death in the United States, but it's definitely getting bigger in other places like Eastern Europe and Taiwan and China and Russia, and of course that includes Eastern Europe, Mexico, some parts of Central and South America, all over the Caribbean. Like Dominican Republic. Oh my God, huge down there. American Pit Bull Terriers all over the world now, but if they're not here, they're not American anymore. They're something else. But I can only hope that people breed them the way they should be bred and use them for the right things and not exploitation. I don't guess there's any dog besides the Greyhound that's been more exploited than the American Pit Bull Terrier. I think the American Pit Bull Terrier is the most abused of all dogs ever in the history of mankind. The most abused dog that's ever been, ever. And it's amazing to me that while they lead the list of the most abused dog, they're also probably the sweetest dog, the kindest, most gentle of all dogs.
Oh yeah,
they're the most abused, but yet at the same time they're the most gentle, which is a paradox in a way, but it's not. I mean, they are what they are. I mean, they're amazing how people could abuse them, and yet whoever's abusing them, they still love that person. It's amazing. It's mind blowing, really, how sweet they are. But it's painful, to see where it's headed and where it's going.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the way it is. I mean, they're going away.
Oh yeah.
It's sad.
They catch you with treadmills just to work your dogs. That you're a suspect.
I know. I mean, my God. I mean, people can't exercise their dogs. I mean, without having to walk them. The reason I have a treadmill, I've got a couple of treadmills, but the reason I have them, the primary reason I have them is I'm afraid to walk them around, through the neighborhood because, everybody in the country can let their dog run loose. And you got your dog on a leash and you're walking down the sidewalk legally, and some dog comes out of their yard with no fence and no tether, no leash. He runs over there and starts an incident with my dog that's on the leash being walked legally. And I'm the one that's in trouble.
Yeah.
So that's why, yeah, and at the same time, they want to say I'm involved in illegal activities because I've got a treadmill.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, how am I going to exercise my dog? I got, a handful of dogs. They need exercise. People need exercise. Everyone needs exercise, dogs included. And, in a kennel situation, and you got them tethered, or you got them in a pen, or a place where they, they're limited to their movement. It's necessary that they have exercise. But I mean, that's a different point. But it is a good point, is regarding, you can get in trouble for having exercise machines for your dogs and not be doing anything illegal at all. People all over the country using these, they call them e-mills. They're electric mills. It's inside the house. They put their dogs on them. They're really big now. It's very popular to have an e-mill for your dog, and they teach the dog how to walk on it. And before they go, or when they come home from work, or before they go to work, put the dog up and let them walk for because they don't have time to walk the dog. Or if you do walk the dog, you're subject to some other dog running out there and getting on it.
I very rarely walk my dogs around the neighborhood. People let their dogs loose all the time.
Yeah, they run
dog parks is a definite no. I'll never go to a dog park.
Oh my God, no, hell no. Yeah, it's I hate it. I mean, it breaks my heart that I'm probably the last generation of men that will see the American Pit Bull Terrier be brought to a place where they can be celebrated rather than expunged. Yeah, they're going away. The game dog is almost gone. I mean, it's almost gone. There's only a few that are really breeding for pure gameness. Not many, and it's hard enough to hold on to a game dog even when you're breeding for it. Much less fighting the whole government, fighting the federal government, fighting the state, fighting the county, fighting humane societies all over the country, fighting animal rights activists, and you're trying to breed a game dog the whole time. Forget it. It's good. They're getting it. They're killing it. They're killing it. But
just like everything else, that's good.
Yeah, it's going away. It's going away. Just like the only dogs that are going to remain are the ones that live in people's laps, and the ones that women can carry around in their pocketbooks, or their purses when they go to the store.
Right.
That's the only dog that's going to make it. The rest of the working dogs, sporting dogs, the dogs, that do a job, that can do a thing like, pull a sled or catch a hog or run a race. Any of those working type dogs or sporting dogs, they're going away. Yeah. Sad to say that they are.
Yeah. Not only our country, but our world is heading into a direction that we're going to need working dogs more than anything.
I agree. Well, it's funny that the Irish, if you do your history on the Irish were the offscouring of England. It was all kind of considered the Great Britain in the early days, like say 16th, 17th, 18th century, all the way up till even up into the early 19th century. The Irish were the offscouring of all the British Isles, and they weren't allowed to be part of higher levels of society. In other words, you couldn't, as a poor Irishman, you couldn't, even if you had the money, you couldn't go pay the money and go get entertained at a theater you couldn't, if you had the money, you couldn't go to certain places to find entertainment, like whatever kind of entertainment they had, a circus or places you went to be entertained. You weren't allowed. So the Irish were the offscouring, but out of their, what you call, British imposed exile, the American Pit Bull Terrier, and of course it wasn't that then, they were just, the original cross was made.
Bull and Terrier.
The original bull and the original terrier was made. And so they made their own entertainment. They made their own excitement. They originally used them because rats, they had an infestation of rats in the 1700s, and rats were scurrying and ravaging the entire countryside. So they bred these dogs to kill the rats. So that was a good example of why people need dogs, because they help to get the rats under control.
Yeah.
And of course, once they killed off the rats, they saw that it was a lot of fun watching the dogs kill rats. Then it became a sport, and they had men that actually bred rats. Like say a farmer, he would breed rats. He had a whole, 300 or 400 rats in cages, and they'd have a big, Saturday night entertainment, and everybody would come out, and they would bring whoever thought their dog was the best. They'd bring their dog, and they put these rats down inside that a literal pit. Where the rat couldn't climb out. Then they drop the dog down in there and time it and say how many rats can the dog kill in 1 minute or 5 minutes or whatever amount of minutes they assigned. And they had a referee and they had judges and everything. And people would pay money to come watch the dogs kill the rats. And of course they outlawed it. That's outlawed. That's against the law now.
Yeah.
And then out of that came the dog fighting. But they also, use them to catch wild animals too. Right now they need them more than ever because Texas is getting overrun. Hogs are just going nuts. I mean, they're destroying farms wholesale over there in Texas. Yeah. It's really bad. They need pit bull terriers in Texas real bad. But at the same time they need them, they're getting rid of the dogs and not doing anything about the hogs. It's sad to see the way things are going. What are you going to do? Just, all you can do is expose it and hope somehow a large group of people realizes what's going on and stops it. Because you can't stop anything by yourself. You got to stop something. If it's a huge movement, you got to be bigger than the movement to stop it. And so it's almost impossible to stop these trends. They're trends. They go right now. This what do you call that? The trend with racism. It's so big. It's so big nobody can stop it. It's just got a life of its own, and people are screaming racism. More than I've ever imagined, and it seems like there's less racism today than there ever has been. But at the same time, people are screaming that there's more than there ever has been. It just doesn't seem right. But I mean, what can I say? I don't know. But it's all happening against the dogs the same way it's happening for the people who want to promote racism.
Yeah.
And not to stamp out racism, but to exploit racism in order to aggrandize themselves, what they're doing.
Keep the herd divided so they're easily controllable.
Exactly.
Do you think the American Pit Bull Terrier and the American Bulldog are closely related from when they were imported?
No. They both have similar characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the junkyard catch dog. That's the best term I could give it. He's a junkyard catch dog. They were here. I'm sure they were here before we imported American Pit Bull Terrier, but probably not much more than American Pit Bull Terrier was already here too. I mean, some people had, without importing them, they were here already. Because I mean, they were catch dogs all over the world. It's just people like Earl Tudor and Don Mayfield and Maurice Carver and Ed Crenshaw and oh my God, there's so many. I wish I could name them all. My mind comes to a blank, but men like that I just mentioned, they're the ones that made the American Pit Bull Terrier what they are today.
I gotcha.
But the American Bulldog, they were here.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good old rough dogs. I mean, make no mistake, they're rough and tumble dogs, but they're just not put together genetically as perfectly as the American Pit Bull Terrier is. I mean, you can find no flaw. I mean, the American Pit Bull Terrier, I mean, there's just no flaw. I mean, like, you take Lee Robinson, for instance. He doesn't take any dog without giving an x-ray in the back end, their hips. He x-rays hips. All of them. He doesn't freak around with it, but I mean, if it's got any flaw in the frame, Lee Robinson calls them right now. The American Bulldog is notorious for having the hip dysplasia. Lee Robinson, his don't. His big dogs, no sir. He x-rays every dog and gets a complete look at the quality of the frame especially in the back end, in the hips. Because that's one of the big flaws with American Bulldog. They got bad hips. Mm-hmm. And but Lee Robinson's got big what I call big bulldogs, because there's really what Lee's got. It's like they're pit bulls, but they're not pit bull terriers.
Right.
If they were terriers, they wouldn't be as big as Lee's dogs. Lee's got the closest thing to a big pit bull terrier, but the one thing you got to add is he's kept the abilities, because the terrier brought to the bulldog the agility and the ability to like, the movement was amazing from side to side, the quickness, the agility, the speed, because the bulldog didn't have those things. Bulldog just had that deep, dark, hardcore determination to never stop. Whereas the terrier brought the talent, you see. But with Lee's dogs, he calls them sentinels, canine sentinel, the sentinels. He's pretty much gotten rid of all those bad traits in him. I know that.
Yeah.
Of course, the only trait he's struggling to hold on to is gameness. And that's a tough thing to hold on to, even if you're breeding for gameness, It's a hard thing to hold on to.
Right.
But he's making a good effort at doing it. He's doing a pretty good job at it, I should say.
Yeah. When the Bull and Terrier type was imported to America, what were the major changes that took place before or during the labeling of the dog, calling it an American Pit Bull Terrier? What changed from the Irish dogs to our dogs?
The organization that came and the money that was backing them. In other words, the people that own them, most of those people were fighting dogs. But I'm just recounting history because I know the history.
Yeah.
But what happened was, and they were fighting them in Ireland too.
Right.
They were fighting dogs in Ireland, but there was no money in Ireland. turn of the century, there was no money in Ireland. So these men that had money were buying the dogs out of Ireland that were being used in those days for fighting. I mean, so once they got them here, what made them change was the organization and the prosperity of the people that had them, and the organization of the way they exploited the dog regarding what they were doing with them, and that's mostly fighting. They have these huge contests, big, what they called conventions in those days, and they'd be 300, 400, 500 people at a side, and they'd be charging a gate, so you had to pay money to get in to see the event. And of course, keep in mind, it was illegal, but it wasn't enforced that much. It wasn't a big deal. It was illegal, but it wasn't something that the law enforcement was worried about enforcing that much. Now, they would if they caught you red-handed doing it, but I don't think the charge was that big a deal. I think it was like cruelty to animals, which today is a much bigger deal than it was in those days. But the organization, the money, and the people that had them had what they had from Ireland and improved on it. They just, by process of elimination, in other words, culling, the thing that made them better is men that knew what they had and knew what they wanted, knew what they had to do, and they would cull. They would breed a mama dog to a daddy dog, get the puppies, and they'd check every one, selectively checking them, and only breeding the ones that were selected. So it's selective breeding, scrutinized, scrutinized to the absolute nth degree. Selectively scrutinizing every dog is what made the dog that we have today better than the dogs that were imported. And it was great dog men that did that.
Were there any physical changes, do you think, that took place?
Yeah. The dogs didn't get bigger, but they did morph a little bit into a stouter frame, a heavier, stronger frame. Not necessarily a bigger dog, but a stronger frame. The gameness, the thing to understand about gameness is that's the primary quality. Because without gameness, the dog won't go. He will not go. He's got to be game to even go. A certain amount of gameness has to be in there for him to go. In other words, contest another. Okay, put it this way. Mankind can train animals to do just about anything you ever wanted them to do. Human beings have had the ability through the centuries, thousands of years, to take two animals and train them to do just about anything you want them to do. I mean, they can teach animals to do tricks that are amazing, like walk a tightrope, on their back legs, walk around like a human on their back legs. I mean, just balance things on their noses, just remarkable, wonderful, fantastic things, exciting things, fun things, cool, really cool things. But there's one thing that human beings can't teach a dog to do. They can't teach it to fight. You can't train a dog to fight. You can't do it. It's impossible. The only way to get a dog to fight is by selective breeding. Okay, selectively picking out the ones that will make the grade and culling the ones that won't make the grade. Even though they were culling the dog, it didn't mean that he wasn't a pretty stout little dog.
Yeah.
And there's a good dog around the farm. you know, to catch the varmints and critters getting in the garden, you know, to get rid of the rats that are in the barn. Yeah, they might not be used for this guy over here that's breeding them, but the local farmer could use them. In a rural setting, they were great.
Right.
That's what I mean by culling. Anyway, so they cull the ones that won't do what they want them to do. Won't, like I say, do it and get him back. There's no human being in the world, and that's a big misnomer, because I think these animal rights groups think that you train a dog to fight. You can't do it. There's no human being in the world can train two dogs and make them fight. Can't do it. It is impossible. Dogs only fight for one reason, and that's because they want to. They can't push a dog. You can't push a dog to do it. You can't push him. Yeah, like get two dogs out there and push them against each other. So, they're not into your shit. You know, they're not going to do that. It's only by selective breeding that they would fight, and in this case, they're going to fight for money. And of course, the money being involved in it promotes somebody to make a better dog because there's money involved. They're not just doing it. They're not just doing it because it's a cool thing to do. They're doing it because it's their living. It's what they're doing for a living. It's how they're paying their bills. So they're going to automatically go to the absolute highest levels of degree to, you know, promote what they've got and make them better. Right. So they had good reason, because that's what they were doing for a living. And I'm talking about people like Earl Tudor, Leo Kennard, Frank Fitzwater, you know, Jerome Hernandez. The great ones, man. Those are some of the greats right there. Maurice Carver.
This question is kind of the big one, because it's debated across the board on both ends so much. Do real pit bull terriers come in the color blue?
No. But let me preface that by saying that in the 70s and 80s, there were blue, what they refer to now as blue. There were blue dogs that were in the competitive arena that were being used by people that fought dogs. But somewhere along the line, somebody got a hold of the blue dogs. They thought they were very unique, and they were very rare. And the blue dogs, they no longer were being bred for, you know, gameness. They were being bred for their color.
Right.
So when you start breeding a dog with its color, you're going to lose everything else. Right. With the exception of the color. You're going to keep the color, but you're going to lose all the other traits. The traits of, you know, desire. The gameness is gone. Gameness is hard to keep on to. I mean, it's the hardest. Even if you're breeding for gameness, it's still hard to hold on to it. You can have a game mother and a game daddy, and the whole litter be curs.
Right.
I mean, that's how hard it is to hold on to gameness, because it's a recessive trait. It's recessive. It wants to go away, like I said in the previous video or interview. It's a trait that goes against nature. It's in nature, in human beings, in fact. That's why we give the Medal of Honor to people that don't do it, that don't run away. We give the Medal of Honor or the Silver Star or the Bronze Star to men that do, what do? They go against nature. What's nature telling them? Nature's telling them to get their head down and stay in the hole. But they're going against nature by going out and saving their fellow man. That's why we give them the Medal of Honor. Okay? At the same time, that human being went against nature. That's why we give him the Medal of Honor. A dog that's a game dog is going against nature because he's doing something that nature says don't do. In other words, it's in a lion, it's in a tiger, it's in a wolf, it's in a bear. They won't stay. I made that point before in the previous video or some previous interview that we had.
Yeah.
So the gameness is a hard thing to hold on to. And even for those that are breeding for it, can't hold on to it. And also kennel blindness comes into it too. Kennel blindness is a phenomenon that happens to the owner of the kennel, of that family of dogs. In other words, if a guy's out there, he starts in these dogs, he's 18 and he falls in love with these dogs. I mean, he loves them like he loves his own children. In fact, they are his children. When he goes and checks them to find out if they'll stay on a hog. In other words, a cur dog will get a hog, he'll catch the hog, but when you get up to where the hog is, if he's a cur, he'll let the hog go thinking, hey, did I do good? And then now all of a sudden you're standing there and the hog's loose because the dog doesn't have him and he's going to get on you. That's what you get with a cur dog. So you can't afford to have a cur dog in a hog catching deal, when you're catching hogs, because you want that dog to stay hold on there no matter what. When you go in there to get that hog, that dog is holding him down for you.
Right.
But a cur will let go when you get up there. And if he lets go while you get up there and you haven't gotten the hog subdued, oh my God, you can get in real trouble. It can hurt you. So that's why it's important to have a game dog. But like I say, gameness is one of the hardest things in the world to hold on to. Even when you're trying to breed for it, it's hard to hold on to. It's the toughest trait of all to maintain. You can maintain ability and talent and bite, aggressiveness, all those things. But gameness, that's the one thing it's almost impossible to hold on to, even for those that are selectively breeding their dogs. Hold on to them. And I didn't really finish my thought was kennel blindness. I was going to basically define kennel blindness. Kennel blindness is when a young dog man has had his yard for X amount of years, and he's basically essentially fallen in love with every dog. And that happens to everybody. You can't have these dogs and feed them and maintain them and medicate them and, veterinary care them and, oh my God, breed them and, love them unconditionally, no matter if they do the things you want them to do or not. What happens is when they go, like say you're going to take a young dog, the way they train the dog to get a hog, they take a young dog and put him on a young hog. A young dog on a young hog is the way they do it. And they let the hog go and they let the dog catch it, in a controlled environment. And then the young dog catches the hog and you separate them, you let the hog go back in the pen, and then you tell the dog how good he did and pet him up and say, good dog. And then maybe the third or fourth time, each time you do it, you graduate upward. In other words, you go into a more mature hog, and you're imprinting the dog on the hog. And then somewhere in there, the dog makes a bad move. Maybe he grabs the hog and lets go. But the kennel blindness comes in when the owner of the dog sees the dog make the move that wasn't a desired move. In other words, it was something the dog he didn't like or it shouldn't have happened. But he overlooks it. Oh no, he was confused. He grabbed that dog, but he grabbed that hog, but he let go of the hog. It was accidental. He makes excuses. That's what kennel blindness is.
Right.
So, and that happens. It's common. When you get kennel blind, you got to be real careful because you end up taking a dog that's a cur. It might be a good dog, but he's still a cur. The dog better have it down. I mean, they better be game anyway, when the dog makes a bad move and the owner sees it but ignores it, that's what kennel blindness is. So,
basically the unwillingness to identify flaws in your own dogs.
Exactly. Because why? What's the motive? The motive is, I love the dog so much, I just want him to be good. Mm-hmm. And if I overlook it, maybe he'll do better next time.
Yeah.
You know, and it just won't happen. It just doesn't happen. So, because if you're a cur, you're not gonna not be a cur. You know what I mean? Right. I've seen curs be so awesome, man. I tell you, I've seen them quit in one and die fighting in another.
Yeah. Which
is a misnomer, because you go, what? That dog quit on the first badger he was on. He just ran away. And the next time they put him on a badger, he got killed by the badger, and he stayed there the whole time. Badger killed. But he killed the badger. He killed the badger killed him, but he didn't run away. He ran away the first time, because that's very rare now. Keep in mind, it doesn't happen often, but every now and then you quit in one and die fighting in another. I have seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes, and a lot of people would deny that I saw it. Right. But I know what I saw, because I saw both contests. Same dog, different day. Same dog, different day. Quit in one, die fighting in another. But it is rare. I gotta say, if you see one quit, he's probably going to quit again.
Right.
It is rare to see him stay when they've already quit. But then there's others that are like quitters, but they're only going to quit if they get in real trouble, bad trouble. If they're, even if they're not ahead, they're just even. And you can foresee this thing going a long ways on a badger or something like that. And the badger's in it, the dog's in it. The dog doesn't quit until it's like way late. Then finally he quits. But that's, to me, I celebrate those dogs that quit, and I shouldn't, but I do, because I love the breed, and I don't expect every dog to be game. I just don't. I gave up on the idea that all my dogs are game a long time ago. I know I'm feeding curs. Madison Parker is feeding curs. I hate to say that, but I am.
That's a bold statement.
It is the truth. It's the truth.
So
a lot of dog men that are feeding, more than 10 dogs or so, which I am. A few, not many. I don't have that many, but I've got several partners throughout the country that are feeding my blood. So if you counted all those, it'd be a hell of a lot of dogs. I'm probably feeding about 15 dogs. But I know there's at least percentages. I'd hate to say, because I'd probably be wrong. It would only be a guess. But I do know that I got curs on this yard right here. I know it. And if you're a dog man and you're feeding pit bull terriers, American pit bull terriers, you're feeding curs. I'll guarantee it. Especially today, more so. Back in the 80s, early 80s, game dogs were a dime a dozen. They were way more prolific then than they are today. They're just less and less. Because these people aren't breeding for gameness anymore. They're breeding for talent. They're breeding for ability, intensity, those types of traits. But the problem with it is, eventually, if they keep doing that, they'll have a dog that'll quit on top. Have a dog that's so talented, but if he gets bit one time, he'll quit. And hey, that's fine. If that's the way this game is going, then okay. Who am I to stop it? I'm not trying to stop. I just want to try and breed what I breed, and I'm gonna do everything I can to hold on to my game dogs.
Right. So,
although there is times when you get a game dog that can't do anything but be game, has no talent, no ability, nothing. He's just stupid game. Like what's called game plugs. In this term, a game plug is a dog. That's all he is, just game. The best thing you could do with a game plug is breeding to a talented female. And I say males, it might be a game plugged female. In that case, you want to breed him to a really talented male that maybe you don't know about gameness, but yet you know he's super talented, bred to this real game, stupid, what I call dumb. Not really dumb. They're not dumb. They're very smart dogs. But they seem dumb because they won't quit no matter what the odds, no matter how bad of trouble they're in, they won't stop. So the best thing you could do with a dog like that is breed it to a talented animal, another dog talented, so that you get some talent in there and infuse it into your gameness, because obviously you got gameness, but you don't have any other good traits. So you got to have those other traits with it to make it a whole dog. So
would you breed that nothing but game dog to another dog that is a cur but has all the other traits?
That's a good question. That's a very good question, Eric. I wouldn't breed it to that dog if I had a game dog that had the talents.
Right.
You follow? If I had on my yard that had all the talent and gameness, I'd breed to that dog. But if I didn't have anything else, and I had a real game mama that didn't have any talent, and I liked her, and I had a cur over there that I knew would quit, but he was so talented it was scary, and it didn't have any options, I'd go with it. I'd do it. I mean, what do you got to lose? You cur the whole litter. I mean, you cull the whole litter. I mean, that's the way a dog man approaches it as well. If they're no good, I just, find a home for them. I'll get rid of them. And I can't personally use them, but maybe somebody else can use them,
Right.
So I mean, the answer to that question is, I would breed it to a dog. But if I had the option of breeding it to a game dog that had talent, I would breed the game dog with talent. But had I no options, that's why it makes that such a good question. It's a great question.
All right.
Very good question.
Now, what about I noticed in a lot of photos where a lot of photos of pit bulls that I've seen that are, biting and snapping at the camera, and they catch a real good shot of their teeth. I noticed they seem, well, some dog. I don't know if it's all dogs, but do you think that pit bull terriers naturally have longer hangers?
No, absolutely not. I mean, shoot. Okay, keep in mind, the only way to hold on to the American Pit Bull Terrier is by line breeding and inbreeding. If you keep outcrossing Pit Bull Terriers, they're not going to be, number one, they're not going to be what they started out to be. In other words, if you keep making outcrosses, you're losing what you got. In other words, the only way to hold on to what you got is to breed the line breeding, a half brother to a half sister. In other words, they were both sired by the same male, but out of different mothers. That's line breeding. That's a good example of line breeding. Or you breed a girl dog to her cousin. In other words, she's out of this mother and this daddy, and you breed her to a dog over here that's out of the brother and sister of that mother and daddy. You follow me? Does that make? Yeah, it's a cousin. So that's line breeding. And as a result of line breeding and inbreeding, keep in mind we're getting to a very complicated topic, and it could go on forever. And Lee Robinson knows this topic very well. There's only 3 types of inbreeding. So some people say, the Pit Bull Terrier is inbreeding. And I'm getting to your question. I want to answer your question about long hangers. And I am a roundabout way. And I'm going to explain why some pit bulls have long hangers and others don't. Okay. Getting back to the line breeding, that's the daughter of these two, mom and daddy, that's bred to a dog over here that's out of the brother and sister of that mother and daddy, or the brother of that mother, of the brother of that mother. So they're related. They're not directly related, but they are related distantly, like first cousins, second cousins, half brothers, sisters, stuff like that. And then there's inbreeding, and there's only 3 types of inbreeding. There can only be 3 types of inbreeding. Some people think that breeding half brother to half sister is inbreeding. It is not inbreeding. It's line breeding. Okay, now inbreeding is one of 3 types of breeding. It's either brother sister. That's the closest you can breed on the end. When you're inbreeding, that's the tightest you can go. Brother and sister is the closest of all inbreeding. Then there's the mother-son, and then there's the father-daughter. So it's father-daughter, mother-son, or brother-sister. One of those 3 or all 3 together collectively, that is considered inbreeding. And if you're not breeding that particular type of breeding, then it's not inbreeding. It's more than likely line breeding. And then to cover the topic of outcrossing, that's when you're taking a dog from this line and breeding it to a dog that's not even related, but happens to be an American Pit Bull Terrier, but has no relation to this dog over here. So you're only getting, the puppies are only going to be half of what the mother and father are. Half each. So you've lost half of what you want to hold on to. In other words, you got a dog you really love, a dog that's performed and won. He's a champion in every way, or she's a champion in every way, and just a great all-around dog in every way. So what is your knee-jerk reaction? To hold on to that dog. The only way to really hold on to that dog is to inbreed it. And that would be brother-sister, if you can do that. And then the next closest thing would be mother-son or father-daughter. That's the way you hold on to your line. But holding on to your line, every time you get something, you give up something. In this world, that's a true statement. It's almost a law of nature. For whatever you're going for, when you strive to get that one particular thing, you're inevitably going to give up a whole lot of things other than that one thing you're getting. So to give, you got to get. To get, you got to give. So you're giving up something in order to get something. And giving up cutters, or like you said, hangers. We call them cutters, hangers, tushes. You know, he lost a tooth. The longer, some of them now come out when you line breed them, and they get long cutters. And then more likely is when you line breed them or inbreed them, the hangers get shorter. So a lot of these Pit Bull Terriers don't have big long cutters; they have shorter cutters. And I believe it's because of the real tight breeding that goes on, especially with American Pit Bull Terrier. The reason they breed them tight, and when I say tight, I mean closer and closer to inbreeding, not inbreeding, but line breeding. And the more you do that, you're going to give up stuff when you do it. So you're losing certain traits, you see, but you're mostly keeping the main traits. But I think the longer cuttered dogs seem to be more of the crosses. And now that's just a statement, and I'm not saying it's emphatic, but some dogs have big cutters and others don't. But the one thing I have seen is the shorter cuttered dogs, the dogs with the less, canine, we call them canines, that's the technical term for them. The longer canines are more likely to outcross dogs. With that said, you can also get long cutters with inbreeding, but less likely. Now, let me just finish off by saying this about inbreeding. When you inbreed, you double up. Okay, you got characteristics in both dogs. You got good genetics in terms of its conformation. When I say conformation, I mean the length from the back of the head to the end of their tail. the length from the front of their chest to the back of their stifle. The height from their feet to the top of their spine. The height from the top of their head to their front feet. Mm. The depth of their chest from their spine to their brisket, down around their chest. All these things are considered when you start discussing conformation in a dog. The thickness of the forelegs, the thickness of the back legs, the width and length and thickness of the head, the thickness of the neck, all those things are conformation terms. And so while you're inbreeding, you're going to double up. Okay. You double up good traits. So assuming all those are good traits that I just mentioned, all those traits, you got a dog that has all those. But maybe there's one thing wrong with it. Maybe he's undershot. He or she's undershot. When I say undershot, the bite doesn't touch. The bottom jaw extrudes past the front canine. You follow me? You know what? That's undershot. That's what we call undershot. That's the slang term, but undershot or underbite is the term we use. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're going to double up on the good traits. You double up the good traits when you inbreed. This is inbreeding only now, not line breeding. Inbreeding. You double up the good traits, but guess what? You triple up the bad traits. So you double in the good traits, but if you have bad traits in that inbreeding, you're going to triple them. So that's why you probably would refrain from inbreeding an undershot dog.
Okay.
Tighten it up. You can breed an undershot dog on a line or outcross, and the dogs won't have any undershot at all. All those traits will go away. More than likely, they will. An undershot dog, the traits of being undershot are only proliferated when you inbreed it. It would get worse, in other words, but it would get better if you outcross it. So there's always good reason for outcrossing, but you're going to lose what you are. In other words, you got this dog you really love and you want to keep him. The best way to keep him is breeding back to his mother. Mm. If he's a male, if he's a female, breed her back to her daddy. Or if you really want to tighten it up, breed her back to her brother.
Right.
That's the way you're going to get the exact same dog that dog is. If you breed it to brother, sister, they're exactly the same. It's almost like they're clones. They're not clones, but they're almost like clones. In fact, God, I'm against cloning, human beings. I think that's morally wrong. And I think you're playing God and all those things, because I'm a Christian. I mean, I believe I've got Christian values morally. Yeah. I do.
Amen.
I don't cheat on my wife. I've never cheated on my wife. I don't do immoral things. And I can't gamble. Gambling is just something I don't know how to do. Mm-hmm. I've never known how to gamble. I should know how, but I don't know how. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, when it comes to these traits, where I lost my train of thought. Where was I?
We were talking about cloning.
Yeah, cloning. That's right. I'm against cloning for human beings, but I'm not against cloning for dogs. Right. I think that would be the coolest thing in the world. I'd love to clone. I've got a couple right here I would clone in a minute if I could clone them. Man, I'd feed a whole yard full of them. Yeah. I got two here that I would clone so fast, buddy, and it wouldn't. There's no dollar that I've got that I would spare.
Yeah. There's people out there doing it.
Oh, I know. I wish I could do it. I wish I could do it with this. Like I say, I got a couple here that I would pay good money.
I thought about that myself. Like, I don't really want to be involved in the breeding game too much because of how saturated it is. Yeah. But I said, man, if I got a hold of the perfect dog, like my number one, I think the dog is perfect, top to bottom. Man, I would spend all the money in the world to clone and have a whole litter of them.
I know. I've had a handful through the years. I mean, you can imagine from 1976 until now. I've had my share of good dogs, and I would.
Hell, imagine like a whole yard of nothing but Joe Testament.
Yeah, oh my God. His name's Uncle Chunk. Oh my God.
Oh, I love Uncle Chunk. That's a good looking dog.
I would breed him. I would clone him so fast if I could. Oh my God. I'd never make another breed. I'd just clone him. That'd be. I wouldn't need to breed no more. Everybody's breeding for their Uncle Chunk. Trust me, that's what they're breeding for.
Yeah,
because he's got everything that every good dog man ever wanted. Believe me when I tell you, that's the truth.
I'm a sucker for his color too.
Well, apart from his color, I never bred for color, and I'll take what I get.
Right. If
it's black, I like black. If it's red, I like red. If he's purple, I like purple. I don't really care. I've never bred for color. I've never bred. I've never bred for conformation. I breed for gameness. Gameness is my hope. And I hope that I get gameness with a lot of talent. And that's what I got with Uncle Chunk. He's got everything.
Now, when it comes to
everything I ever wanted in a Bulldog.
Right. No,
he's probably in it, actually, without getting too deep into it. He's probably in the top 5 best dogs I've ever owned.
Yeah, I love the way that dog looks.
That's saying a lot right there, because I've had my share of very good dogs, including all the dogs collectively that I had with Bert back in the day. That includes Sailor, in which Bert told me Hard Eyes and Bandit was the best breeding he ever made. And I do believe that. I think he was telling me the truth, and it's the best breeding he ever made. Sailor was part of that breeding. Sailor was just, oh my God, what a dog. But this dog head and shoulders over Sailor.
Mm-hmm.
And this dog's as good or better than Joe Testament or Uncle Bud was.
Mm-hmm. And
Raisin's in there. Raisin, oh my God, what a great dog. Oh my God, what a dog. Oh my God, I'd clone that dog. I'd clone Raisin. I'd clone Uncle Bud and Joe Testament, definitely. But this dog, he's as good as they are easily. But anyway, let me get off that topic.
When it comes to inbreeding, how often can you actually do that before you start running into problems? Like, will puppies come out retarded or anything?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You don't want to keep doing it. I mean, honestly, this is a good example. I've been in the game since 76. Now, from 76 to 80, I was a newcomer. I was just a greenhorn.
Mm-hmm.
But from the early 80s on to now, I started to become a veteran. I mean, somewhere along the line, you stay in something long enough, you're going to get pretty good at it, hopefully. If you got any brains at all, which I don't have a whole lot of brains, but I got enough brains to be good at this. I believe I do. Anyway.
I think so.
If you keep doing that, in other words, my example was, I've only made several father-daughters, mother-sons in my life. I've never made a brother-sister breeding. I never have. And I will. I will do that. I will do that with Uncle Chunk. Because there are no bad flaws in that dog. No flaws at all. None. And his sister is the same way. I will breed her to him. I would do that. When she comes in heat, it's a likely choice. It's either that or go back to her daddy with her Uncle Chunk's sister back to her daddy, which would be a lot of son breeding. But I've only done a couple in my life. I haven't made many inbreedings. I line breed. I'm a line breeder. I'm a guy. I hate outcrosses. I've learned to hate outcrosses because I never get what I'm looking for. They always suck to me. Now the other people, other dog men, they make outcrosses and get badass, great, awesome dogs. But for some reason, every time I made outcrosses, they just come out not so hot. But you can take that outcross and go back to the mother or daddy with it and get some good dogs. Get some really good stock. I'm just not real crazy of the outcross. My best success has always been line breeding. And that's what I'm going to stay with because it's been my best success. So obviously I'm going to do what works.
Is an outcross necessary every so often?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It is important. Outcrosses are there because it's your option to get away from going too tight and getting a bunch of idiots. And when I say idiots, I mean, you know, like what you call, you don't want to get too tight. It's like what I said before. Here's the rule. The laws of nature says you're going to give up something to get something. Every time you're going to, it's that way in business too. You know, when you're trying to make money and you got some big business deal going, say you're going to buy out some big company, but you have to sacrifice something of yourself, of your own, maybe parts of these other small companies you have. Maybe you have to get rid of them to buy this big company. You got to let go of something, or you give up, sacrifice something to get something. Okay. And the same way with inbreeding. If you don't want to keep going back and doing that over and over, that definitely will get you in trouble. When I say trouble, I mean you're just going to get a bunch of dogs that aren't formed right. I've seen on paper pedigrees that were really extremely tight. In fact, I got one out there right now. It wasn't my breeding. I got it from another guy. And it's a Patrick line. It's the Patrick blood. It's the old Patrick blood. And I really love Patrick. I think Patrick's one of the great dog men of his time. And I got one right now that's back like 3 times to the mother. In other words, they took the mother to her son 3 times.
Oh, I got
and each time they had a son, they went back to the mother with it and just kept doing it. And I've got one right now that, in all apparent looks, I mean, they're just puppies. They're just puppies. 5 months old, 4 or 5 months old. They're sweet little dogs, good looking, handsome, got good traits, physically strong, stout little dogs. But I wouldn't go back there. I wouldn't go back again. That's enough.
Right.
Yeah, let's keep going back in trouble. It's like the thief returning to the scene of the crime.
Right.
You don't keep doing it. In other words, if I inbred Chunk to his sister, I would outcross those pups. If I was going to breed, if the pups were worthy of being bred, I would outcross them to something out. Not full out, but maybe a line bred out. In that case, line breeding would be almost like an out.
So, take basically sister to brother, and then taking offspring from that and breeding it to like a cousin or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, or even breeding it to something that was a total out. In other words, like you go from a Sorrels line to a Red Boy line, which would be an outcross. Or you went from like a Bolio, which is Patrick, go from a Patrick line to an Eli line, the Eli dog line. Now, don't get me wrong, all that comes down from the Daibo dog, Tudor's Daibo. You know, I don't know if I got into this or not, but Tudor's Daibo was the foundation of everything we got today. I think I did mention that.
Yeah.
Tudor's Daibo and John Colby. Colby and Daibo are the basic foundation of all American Pit Bull Terriers today. So somewhere along the line, you keep breeding them up. Even the outcrosses become tight. But then what happens is somebody else gets a hold of it and they breed something else, and then you get it back and you breed it, and now it's not even what it was, and now it's a cross again. So they are tight. I mean, almost all American Pit Bull Terriers, if they're bred properly and in the right hands, and never got out of those hands, they're all tight bred. They're very tight. Some say the Greyhound, and it's going away too because they're stamping out dog racing. You know, they got rid of dog racing. The state of Florida had a huge dog racing community for years and years. But about 3, 4, 5 years ago, they had it on a vote. They put it on the ballot, and they got rid of dog racing in the state of Florida. So there's no more dog racing in the state of Florida. But my point is, some say that because of the money that's in the Greyhounds, the Greyhound is the purest bred dog in the world. But I take issue with that. I think the American Pit Bull Terrier is just as pure, or maybe more so. There's no other dog more pure than the American Pit Bull Terrier. They are the most pure. In other words, there's no other line of dogs that went into them except other Pit Bull Terriers. Whereas with a Greyhound, you're not going to, if you want a dog that will run around the track chasing a rabbit, you don't breed it to a damn Chihuahua, or you don't breed it to a Great Dane. You don't breed it to a German Shepherd. You breed it to other Greyhounds. Mm-hmm. So a Greyhound and the American Pit Bull Terrier are the two most pure dogs in the world today. And why is that? The reason for that is because of money. There's money in it. Mm. There's money in it, and that keeps them pure. Now, if you take the sport away, they become domesticized, just like the golden retrievers are now no longer retrieving ducks. They're just laying on somebody's couch watching TV when mom and daddy come home. Mm. You know, they're great pets. Make no mistake, golden retrievers are great. 40, 50 years ago, golden retrievers lived in a pen going out, swimming out in a frozen lake and bringing ducks back. Mm. You know, but not now. They're domesticated. That's what's happened to the American Pit Bull Terrier. They're getting domesticized. But like I said before, all that, you know, Greyhound and the American Pit Bull Terrier still ain't, because there are states that are still raising Greyhounds. I don't know what states, but I'm sorry for it. It really breaks my heart that no longer, you know, they're racing dogs here in Florida. They're not doing it anymore. Mm. And I'm not a gambler, so I never went to it. I never was interested in it. Although I'm more interested now as an older man in the Greyhound than I ever was before, because I love the coursing. In this case, it's huge in like in England. Mm. Parts of Europe is really big in like Saudi Arabia. Oh my God, they go in the desert and they got these Greyhounds. And they got Whippets. You know, Whippets an offshoot of the Greyhound, but they're smaller, but they run. You know, they chase things.
Yeah, they got another one out there. I forgot the name of it, though. It's kind of longer haired. Oh, I forgot what it was called.
They're catch dogs. In other words, they catch. They chase something down and catch it. That's what a Pit Bull Terrier is. They're catch dogs. The Greyhound is the exact same thing. They're catch dogs. Mm-hmm. But for the Greyhound, he's bred to run. For the Pit Bull Terrier, he's bred to fight. Mm-hmm. But they both are going to catch and dominate what they're trying to catch. The Pit Bull Terrier makes a great, I mean, they are catch dogs. I mean, they're more catch dogs today than they ever were, because dogfighting is so extremely illegal. In other words, when I say illegal, it's like the punishment exceeds the severity of the crime.
For sure.
So if it's a crime to fight dogs, which it is, and everybody in this world thinks so, then the punishment for that crime is excessive. Mm-hmm. Extremely excessive. But the Greyhound, getting back to the topic, the Greyhound and the American Pit Bull Terrier, I've said it before, are the most pure dogs bred in the world. There's no other dog that's being bred more pure. And the reason they're being bred pure is because they have to be line bred. They have to be bred together closely, because you're losing traits if you outcross them. So if you're outcrossing it, you're losing what they are. Mm. You're losing what that dog, the daddy is, and you're losing what the mama is. In other words, the children are only going to be half of what the mother or the father is. Whereas with an inbreeding, you're going to have a 3/4. You see, mm-hmm. what the one you went back to is, in other words, the mother's son. The mother is going to be 3/4 of what the mother is, and 1/4 of what the daddy was, or I'm sorry, 1/4 of what the son is. Yeah, the son.